The battlefield. Captain Alex stood on the rocky surface of a distant planet, his heart pounding in his chest. The air was thick with smoke, and the sounds of battle echoed all around him. Explosions rocked the ground, sending debris flying into the air. He could see his fellow soldiers fighting bravely against the alien forces, but the enemy was strong and relentless. Alex had trained for years for this moment. As a soldier, he was used to the chaos of war, but today felt different. The planet, known as Zoreth, was not just another battlefield. It was the site of a fierce war between humans and the alien race known as the Korrikans. These aliens were fierce and cunning, and they fought with a passion that sometimes overwhelmed Alex and his team. The mission was simple: destroy the Korrikan stronghold and weaken their forces. Alex's team was to plant explosives around the enemy base while holding off any attackers. It was a dangerous job, but they were well prepared, or so they thought. As he moved cautiously among the rocks, Alex spotted a group of Korrikans ahead. They were armed and ready to fight. Without hesitation, he signaled to his team to take cover. Bullets whizzed past him as he ducked behind a large boulder. He raised his weapon, took a deep breath, and fired. The battle was on. In the midst of the chaos, Alex suddenly heard a strange sound, a high-pitched scream cutting through the noise of war. He turned to see a flash of bright color near the enemy lines. Curiosity tugged at him. What could that be? He risked a quick glance and felt his heart skip a beat. There, caught in the fray, was a beautiful alien princess. Her long, flowing hair shimmered like silver, and her eyes sparkled with fear. She was surrounded by Korrikan soldiers who seemed determined to capture her. Alex's instincts kicked in. He couldn't just stand by and watch. "Team, follow me," he shouted, his voice steady despite the chaos. His fellow soldiers exchanged worried glances, but trusted their captain. They knew he wouldn't lead them into danger without a good reason. As they advanced, Alex felt adrenaline surge through him. He dodged bullets and leaped over fallen rocks, his heart racing. The princess looked back at him, her eyes wide with desperation. He had to save her. When they reached her, Alex pushed the soldiers back with swift movements. "Get to safety," he yelled to the princess. "We'll handle this." With a fierce determination, Alex and his team fought off the Korrikan soldiers. The sounds of laser blasts and explosions surrounded them, but Alex focused on the princess. He could see her fear turning into hope as he fought to protect her. Each enemy he took down brought him closer to her. Just as they began to push the Korrikans back, one soldier fired a shot that struck Alex in the shoulder. Pain shot through him, but he ignored it. The princess needed him, and he would not fail her. With a final push, they managed to create a path for her. "Go," he shouted, urging her to escape. She hesitated for a moment, then nodded and ran toward safety. As the battle raged on, Alex felt the world spinning around him. Blood dripped from his wound, but he kept fighting. He could hear the sounds of his team shouting, and the enemy retreating. It was a hard-fought victory, but they had managed to protect the princess. In that moment, Alex realized he had done something incredible. He had stepped into the line of fire to save someone who had no connection to him, and it changed everything. Little did he know, this choice would lead him down a path he never expected, a path to a destiny that would forever change the fate of two worlds. The unexpected rescue. The sounds of battle faded into the background as Captain Alex staggered toward the rocky outcrop. His shoulder throbbed painfully, and he could feel the warm blood soaking his uniform. But despite the pain, he felt a surge of relief wash over him as he saw Princess Lyra make it to safety, her shimmering figure moving away from the chaos. As he turned to rejoin his team, Alex caught sight of Lyra glancing back at him, her eyes wide with gratitude. "Thank you," she shouted, her voice barely audible over the distant sounds of gunfire. In that moment, something in her gaze touched his heart. She wasn't just a princess, she was a person, full of fear and hope. Before he could respond, A loud explosion rocked the ground nearby. Dust and debris flew into the air, momentarily blinding him. When the dust settled, Alex found himself alone. His team had moved to secure the area, and the princess had vanished from view. Panic filled his chest. He needed to find her. "Lyra," he shouted, his voice echoing against the rocky terrain. "Where are you?" He took a step forward, his mind racing. If Korakin soldiers were still around, she could be in danger. He cautiously made his way through the debris, scanning the area for any sign of her. Suddenly, he heard a faint sound, a soft cry coming from behind a large rock formation. Alex hurried over, heart pounding, and peered around the corner. There she was, crouched low and trembling. Her beautiful dress was torn and dirtied, but she was unharmed. Relief flooded over him. "Princess Lyra," he exclaimed, rushing to her side. She looked up at him, her expression a mix of fear and relief. "I thought I was lost," she admitted, her voice shaking. "Thank you for saving me, Captain." Alex felt a warmth spread through him at her words. "I couldn't let them take you," he replied, his tone sincere. "We need to get you somewhere safe." Before they could move, they heard footsteps approaching. Alex quickly pushed Lyra behind him and drew his weapon. The footsteps grew louder, and soon a group of Korakin soldiers appeared, their eyes scanning the area for any signs of their lost princess. "Stay close to me," Alex whispered, adrenaline surging through him again. He took a deep breath, focusing on the task ahead. He had to protect her at all costs. As the soldiers moved closer, Alex knew he had to act fast. "Get ready," he murmured to Lyra, who nodded, her eyes wide but determined. In one swift motion, he stepped out from behind the rock and fired at the closest Korakin soldier. The blast rang out, and the soldier fell to the ground. The other Korakins turned in surprise, their eyes widening in shock. Lyra watched, a mix of fear and awe on her face. Alex felt the weight of her gaze as he fought. With every shot, he felt more alive. He was fighting not just for his own survival, but for hers as well. The remaining soldiers rushed at him, but he was ready. He ducked, rolled, and fired, his training kicking in. One by one, he took them down until the last soldier fled in fear. Breathing heavily, Alex turned back to Lyra. "We need to go now," he urged, grabbing her hand and pulling her to her feet. They raced away from the battlefield, the sounds of conflict fading behind them. As they ran, Alex couldn't help but steal glances at the princess. She was strong, but he could see the fear still lingering in her eyes. "You're safe now," he promised, trying to reassure her. "I won't let anything happen to you." They found a small cave, hidden from view, and ducked inside. Once they were safe, Alex turned to her. "Are you okay?" he asked, concern etched on his face. Lyra nodded, her breathing still shaky. "I am now." "Thank you for rescuing me, Alex. You are braver than any warrior I've ever known." In that moment, as they caught their breath, Alex realized that their fates were now intertwined. This unexpected rescue had changed everything, and he couldn't shake the feeling that their journey was only just beginning. The alien court. After what felt like hours of running, Alex and Princess Lyra finally emerged from the cave. The night sky above them sparkled with strange stars, twinkling in colors he had never seen before. Lyra looked around, her eyes wide with wonder. "This planet is so beautiful," she said softly, a hint of awe in her voice. Alex smiled at her. "It really is. But we need to get you back to safety. Your people will be worried." He took a deep breath and looked toward the distant lights of the city. "Let's go." As they made their way toward the city, the sounds of nature surrounded them. The air was cool, and the scents of alien flowers filled his senses. It was a stark contrast to the chaos of battle they had just escaped. After a short walk, they reached the city gates. The towering structures of shimmering glass and metal loomed above them, glowing in the dim light. Once inside, Lyra led Alex through the streets filled with aliens of all shapes and sizes. Their colorful skins and unusual features amazed him. He felt out of place, a lone human among a crowd of aliens. But Lyra stayed close, her presence comforting him. They arrived at the Grand Palace, a magnificent structure adorned with jewels and intricate designs. It was unlike anything Alex had ever seen. "This is where my family lives," Lyra explained, her voice filled with pride. "And where I must be safe." As they entered the palace, guards stood at attention, their expressions serious. Lyra walked confidently ahead, but Alex felt a knot of anxiety in his stomach. What would happen next? Would the council welcome him, or would they see him as a threat? Inside, the grand hall sparkled with light. Crystals hung from the ceiling, casting colorful patterns on the floor. Lyra led him through the bustling crowd of nobles and advisors, who whispered among themselves. They paused to stare at Alex, their eyes filled with curiosity and suspicion. At the end of the hall, a raised platform awaited them. On it sat the Royal Council, a group of wise and powerful aliens. Their leader, an elderly alien with a long, flowing robe, looked down at Alex with piercing eyes. "Welcome, human," he said, his voice deep and commanding. "You stand before the Council of Zoreth. We wish to hear your story." Alex stepped forward, feeling the weight of their gazes on him. "I am Captain Alex, a soldier from Earth. I came to Zoreth on a mission, but I found Princess Lyra in danger, and I could not leave her behind." The council exchanged glances. "You risked your life for our princess," the leader said slowly. "This is a noble act, but we must understand your intentions. Humans have long been our enemies in this war." "I know," Alex replied, trying to keep his voice steady. "But I don't believe this war is the answer. I fought to save Lyra because I believe in peace. We can work together to end this conflict." A murmur spread through the council. Some members looked skeptical, while others seemed intrigued by his words. Lyra stepped forward, her voice strong and clear. "They fought for me. Captain Alex saved my life. We must not let old grudges cloud our judgment." The leader of the council raised his hand for silence. "Your bravery is commendable, Alex, but words alone do not bring trust. You must prove your loyalty to our people." Alex felt a wave of determination wash over him. "I will do whatever it takes to earn your trust. I want to help end this war and protect the princess." The council exchanged more glances, and finally, the leader nodded. "Very well. You shall stay here and learn our ways. But know this, if you betray us, the consequences will be severe." Alex nodded, relieved yet aware of the weight of their decision. He had stepped into an unknown world, but now he had a chance to make a difference. He glanced at Lyra, who smiled back at him, hope shining in her eyes. Together, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead. The journey had only just begun. Accidental Monarch. In the days that followed, Captain Alex settled into life at the Royal Palace of Zoreth. He spent his mornings training with the royal guards, learning their ways of combat, and his afternoons sitting in on meetings with the council. But no matter how hard he tried, he always felt like an outsider. The Corican nobles watched him with a mix of curiosity and suspicion. One sunny morning, as Alex practiced with a group of soldiers, Lyra approached him. "You're improving quickly," she said with a bright smile, her hair catching the light like a halo. "Thanks," Alex replied, wiping the sweat from his brow. "But I still feel like I don't belong here. Everyone is so different." Lyra laughed lightly. "Different can be good. You have so much to offer, and today we have an important ceremony. You'll see." Curious, Alex followed Lyra into the grand hall, where the council members had gathered. Colorful banners hung from the walls, and the air buzzed with excitement. "What's going on?" he asked, trying to catch a glimpse of what was happening. "You'll find out soon," she said, her eyes sparkling with mischief. As they reached the center of the hall, Alex noticed a large throne set on a raised platform. The council leader stood beside it, looking solemn. Today we honor the bravery of our princess and her unexpected savior, he announced, his voice echoing throughout the room. Alex's heart raced as he realized they were talking about him. I didn't do it for recognition, he whispered to Lyra. I know, she replied, squeezing his hand. But you deserve this. The council leader continued. In our ancient traditions, a hero who saves royalty is sometimes offered a special title. Captain Alex, for your bravery and loyalty, we would like to grant you the title of Guardian of the Crown. Gasps filled the room as the nobles exchanged glances. Some looked pleased, while others frowned. Alex felt the weight of their gazes on him. Wait, what does that mean? He asked, confusion creeping into his voice. It means you will have responsibilities and power, the leader explained. You will be seen as a protector of our kingdom. But with this honor comes a choice. You can choose to lead alongside us, or you can decline. Alex's mind raced. He had come to Zoreth as a soldier, not a leader. I didn't come here to rule, he said, feeling the pressure of the moment. I'm just trying to help. Sometimes the best leaders are those who never sought power. Lyra said softly, her eyes locked onto his. You can bring our worlds together. Taking a deep breath, Alex stepped forward. If it means protecting Lyra and helping end this war, then I accept. Cheers erupted in the hall, and Lyra beamed with pride. But as Alex was led to the throne, he felt a surge of fear. What had he just agreed to? He sat down, trying to appear calm, but inside, he was a bundle of nerves. The council members surrounded him, each offering advice and guidance. They spoke of treaties and alliances, of peace talks and military strategies. Alex listened, nodding along, but the weight of their expectations pressed down on him. He was a soldier, not a politician. As the ceremony continued, Alex felt the eyes of the crowd on him. They watched his every move, waiting to see what their new guardian would do. Suddenly, he felt a rush of courage. He stood up, raising his hand for silence. I may not know much about ruling, he began, his voice steady but firm. But I know about fighting for what's right. I believe in unity. We must come together, humans and Korrikans, to end this war and build a better future for everyone. A loud cheer erupted, and for the first time, Alex felt a flicker of hope. Perhaps he could make a difference after all. In that moment, he embraced his new role, realizing that being a leader was about serving others, not just wearing a crown. As Lyra watched him from the side, her eyes sparkled with admiration. Alex knew that this unexpected path would be challenging, but with Lyra by his side, he felt ready to face whatever came next. The journey to unite their worlds had truly begun. The aftermath. The battlefield lay in ruins, a grim testament to the fierce conflict that had just taken place. Smoke rose from the ground, and the cries of the wounded echoed in the air. As the dust settled, Alex stood amid the chaos, his heart heavy with the weight of what had just happened. He looked around, surveying the scene. Bodies of both Korrikans and humans littered the ground, and the once vibrant landscape was now marred by destruction. This was the cost of war, and Alex felt a deep ache in his chest. They had fought fiercely, but what had they achieved? Nothing but pain and loss. Captain, a voice broke through his thoughts. It was Lyra, her face pale and streaked with dirt. She rushed to his side, her eyes wide with fear. Are you okay? I was so worried about you. I'm fine, he replied, forcing a smile. But inside, he felt hollow. What about you? Did you see anyone from your family? Lyra shook her head, her expression grim. I don't know. I'm scared, Alex. This shouldn't have happened. As they surveyed the aftermath, Varric approached, his armor battered and bloodied. He looked weary, the fire in his eyes dimmed by the reality of their actions. We fought well, he said, though his voice lacked conviction. But at what cost? Alex met his gaze, anger mixing with sorrow. This is not victory, General. We lost lives today. We can't keep fighting like this. Varric's jaw tightened. We did what we had to do to protect our people. They would have taken everything from us. But we've taken everything from them too. Lyra interjected, her voice rising. We've lost sight of what we're fighting for. We must find a way to end this cycle. The weight of her words hung in the air, and silence fell over the group. Alex could see doubt creeping into Varric's eyes, and for the first time, he felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe we can still reach out to them. Alex suggested, his voice steady. We can't let this be the end. But how? Varric replied, frustration clear in his voice. After this battle, they'll never trust us again. Perhaps we can send a message, Lyra suggested. A message of peace, showing we want to work together to rebuild. Varric crossed his arms, considering her words. You really think they'll listen? They have to. Alex said firmly. If we don't try, we'll continue to lose more lives, and we'll never find peace. After a moment of silence, Varric nodded slowly, though uncertainty still lingered in his eyes. Fine, but it won't be easy. With a plan in mind, they began to gather their remaining soldiers and assess the damage. The atmosphere was somber, and the reality of their losses weighed heavily on everyone. It was a long and painful day as they tended to the wounded and mourned those who had fallen. As night fell, the stars twinkled in the sky, a stark contrast to the darkness that filled their hearts. Alex sat beside Lyra, the flickering flames of their campfire casting shadows on their faces. We have to find a way to honor those we lost, he said quietly. We need to make sure this wasn't in vain. Lyra nodded, her eyes reflecting the flames. We will. They deserve that much. Days passed as they worked tirelessly to send a message to the Korakan leaders, expressing their desire for peace and reconciliation. Finally, a reply came. The Korakans agreed to meet, albeit with caution. It was a small step, but it filled Alex with hope. As they prepared for the meeting, Alex felt a mix of anxiety and determination. He knew this was a crucial moment for both sides. They had to overcome their fears and work together to build a new future. On the day of the meeting, they gathered in the grand hall of the palace. The atmosphere was tense as the Korakan delegation arrived, led by their leader, who had fought against them just days before. Alex took a deep breath, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. With Lyra by his side, he stepped forward to greet them. Thank you for coming, he began, his voice steady. We want to find a way to move forward together, to build a better future for both our peoples. The Korakan leader nodded slowly, and for the first time, Alex felt a flicker of hope. Perhaps they could rise from the ashes of war and create something new together. The journey would be long and difficult, but with each step, they would honor those who had fallen and strive for a future where peace reigned over conflict. The threat from within. The days turned into weeks as Alex worked hard to build bridges between humans and Korakans. Meetings were held regularly, and while some progress was made, tension still ran high. He felt proud of the steps they were taking, but a shadow loomed over his efforts. Rumors swirled through the palace, whispers of dissent among the council members. One evening, as the sun set over Zoreth, Alex was reviewing documents in his chambers when a soft knock interrupted his thoughts. Lyra entered, her expression serious. Alex, we need to talk, she said, closing the door behind her. What's wrong? He asked, sensing the urgency in her voice. I've heard troubling things. Some members of the council do not trust you. They believe you are too close to the Korakans, and that you are betraying your own people, she explained, worry etched on her face. Alex felt a knot tighten in his stomach. But I'm only trying to help both sides. We can't let this war continue. I know, but not everyone sees it that way. General Varric is especially vocal about his distrust. He believes we should be preparing for war, not peace, Lyra warned. Varric. Alex frowned, recalling the general's fiery demeanor during council meetings. Why can't he see that fighting will only lead to more suffering? His views are shared by many, Lyra replied. They believe that by showing weakness, we invite attack. We must tread carefully. Just then, a loud commotion echoed from the main hall. The sounds of raised voices grew louder, and Alex felt his heart race. He and Lyra rushed out to investigate. As they entered the hall, they found General Varric confronting another council member, his face red with anger. "We cannot trust a human. They are the enemy, and we must prepare for battle," Varric shouted, slamming his fist on the table. The council members exchanged nervous glances, some looking frightened while others appeared to support Varric's claim. Alex stepped forward, determined to address the conflict. "General Varric, this is not the way to achieve peace. Fear will only lead us to more destruction." Varric turned his sharp gaze on Alex, a sneer on his lips. "And what do you know about our struggles? You are a soldier, not a leader. You want to bring our enemies into our home." Before Alex could respond, another council member, a wise elder named Miro, stood up. "Enough. We are at a crossroads. We must choose between fighting and finding common ground." "Common ground?" Varric laughed bitterly. "You are a fool to believe they will not turn on us the moment we show weakness." "That's enough, Varric," Lyra interjected, her voice steady. "Captain Alex has fought for our people. He saved me. We must give him a chance." Varric's eyes narrowed, and he stepped closer to Alex, towering over him. "You think a few kind acts make you a king. You are a human in a Korakan court. Remember that." Alex felt a surge of anger, but he pushed it down. "I don't want to be king. I want to end this war. But if we keep letting fear guide us, we will lose everything." The tension in the room was thick. Many council members looked between Varric and Alex, unsure of who to support. Alex could feel the weight of their uncertainty pressing down on him. As the meeting ended, he turned to Lyra. "I can't let Varric's fear win. We need to find a way to unite the council, to show them that peace is possible." Lyra nodded, her eyes bright with determination. "We will find a way. But we must be cautious. There are those who would see you fail." As they left the hall, Alex felt a sense of unease settling in his gut. He realized that the threat was not just from the Korakans outside, but also from those within their own walls. If he wanted to bring peace to Zorith, he would need to confront not only the enemy on the battlefield, but also the enemies within his own kingdom. Determined to succeed, Alex began planning his next steps. He would not let fear win, and he would not back down. With Lyra at his side, he knew they could face any challenge together. But as he looked over his shoulder, he couldn't shake the feeling that danger lurked just around the corner. The fight for peace had only just begun. Struggles of leadership. After accepting the title of Guardian of the Crown, Alex quickly learned that being a leader was far from easy. The council met every day, discussing matters of state and the ongoing war with the Korakan forces. As Alex sat at the head of the table, he often felt overwhelmed by the weight of their expectations. One afternoon, as they gathered for a meeting, the atmosphere was tense. The council members were arguing loudly, their voices overlapping like a chaotic storm. Alex rubbed his temples, trying to make sense of it all. "Please," he called out, raising his hand for silence. "Let's try to speak one at a time." The room quieted, but the tension remained. "We must strike back at the Korakans," shouted a council member named General Varric, his eyes blazing with anger. "They will not stop until they have taken everything from us." "Fighting more will only lead to more bloodshed," Lyra countered, her voice calm yet firm. "We need to find a way to negotiate peace, not escalate the conflict." Alex glanced between Varric and Lyra, feeling caught in the middle. He wanted to support Lyra's vision of peace, but he understood the fear that drove Varric and many others. "What if we try to open a dialogue with the Korakans?" he suggested, his voice steady. "We can send a message asking for a meeting. It might lead to something." The council members exchanged skeptical glances. "And if they refuse?" Varric asked, crossing his arms. "What then? We cannot trust them. Trust is not built overnight, Lyra replied. But we can start by showing them we want peace. Captain Alex can lead the way. All eyes turned to Alex, and he felt a mix of pride and fear. He had fought bravely on the battlefield, but this was different. I'll do it, he said, surprising even himself. I'll take a message to their leader. If they agree to talk, then we can begin to heal the wounds of war. The council reluctantly agreed, and Alex felt the weight of their hopes resting on his shoulders. As he prepared for the meeting, he couldn't shake the feeling of doubt. Would the Korrikans even be willing to listen? A few days later, Alex set off toward the Korrikan territory, accompanied by Lyra and a small group of soldiers. The journey was tense, and Alex could sense the unease among his team. Are you sure about this? One soldier asked nervously. What if they capture us? We're going to show them we want peace, Alex replied, trying to sound confident. But we must be prepared for anything. As they approached the Korrikan stronghold, Alex's heart raced. The alien fortress loomed before them, dark and intimidating. He stepped forward, holding a white flag to signal their peaceful intentions. Lyra stood by his side, her expression determined. When they reached the gates, they were met by Korrikan guards, who eyed them suspiciously. What do you want? One of the guards barked. We come in peace, Alex declared, his voice firm. I am Captain Alex, guardian of the crown. I wish to speak with your leader about ending this war. The guards whispered among themselves, their expressions unreadable. Finally, one of them nodded and waved them inside. As they entered the stronghold, Alex felt a mix of hope and fear. Would the Korrikan leader be willing to talk? They were led into a large chamber, where the Korrikan leader, a tall alien with striking features, awaited them. What brings a human and a Korrikan princess to my home? He asked, his voice deep and commanding. Alex took a deep breath. We want peace. This war has brought suffering to both our peoples. Let's find a way to end the fighting. The Korrikan leader studied Alex for a long moment, his expression unreadable. Alex's heart raced as he awaited his response. Would they listen? Would they be willing to talk? I will consider your words, the leader finally said, a hint of curiosity in his eyes. But know this, trust is hard-earned. Show me your commitment to peace, and we may have a chance. As they left the stronghold, Alex felt a mix of relief and uncertainty. The path to peace would not be easy, and he knew that many challenges lay ahead. But he was determined to try. With Lyra by his side, he believed they could find a way to unite their worlds. As they journeyed back to the palace, Alex realized that the struggles of leadership were only beginning. He had to earn the trust of both his people and the Korrikans. But with each step, he felt a growing sense of purpose. He would not let fear guide his decisions. He would fight for a brighter future, one where peace reigned over war. The Great War. Tensions in Zorith reached a boiling point. Despite Alex's best efforts to foster peace between humans and Korrikans, whispers of war grew louder each day. General Varric and his followers rallied against him, insisting that only strength could protect their people. Rumors spread that the Korrikan forces were preparing for an attack, and fear gripped the palace. One morning, as the sun cast its golden rays over the city, the council convened once more. Alex entered the grand hall with Lyra by his side, ready to face the council. He could sense the nervous energy in the room. Council members whispered among themselves, their expressions filled with uncertainty. Today, the council leader began, his voice somber. We face a critical decision. Varric has brought reports of increased Korrikan activity near our borders. We must act. Alex felt his heart race. What kind of activity? He asked, stepping forward. Are they really preparing for war? Yes, Varric replied, his eyes fierce. They are gathering their forces. We must strike first before they attack us. We cannot show weakness. Lyra shook her head, her expression resolute. Fighting will only lead to more bloodshed. We must find a way to negotiate with them. If we attack now, we will lose our chance for peace. Varric scoffed at her words. You're naive, princess. The Korrikans do not want peace, they want domination. With each argument, the council grew more divided. Alex felt the pressure building around him. I understand your fears, but we cannot let panic dictate our actions. If we attack, we risk everything we've worked for. Just then, a soldier burst into the hall, breathless and panicked. Captain, we have a situation. The Korrikans are at the gates. The room erupted in chaos. Council members shouted, some calling for immediate action, while others urged caution. Alex's heart sank. The moment he had feared was here. The war was upon them. Gather your troops. Varric commanded, his voice cutting through the noise. We will defend our home. Wait, Alex shouted, trying to be heard. We can't rush into battle without a plan. We need to assess the situation. But the council was already moving. Varric took charge, rallying the soldiers, and within moments, Alex found himself swept into the fray. He felt a mix of dread and determination as he prepared for the fight ahead. As they marched to the gates, Alex glanced at Lyra, who looked worried but resolute. Stay close, he urged her. I won't let anything happen to you. Together, they reached the battleground just as the Korrikan forces arrived. The air crackled with tension. Aliens of all shapes and sizes stood ready, their weapons drawn, eyes filled with fury. At the front of the Korrikan army stood their leader, a tall figure adorned with armor that gleamed in the sunlight. Humans. The Korrikan leader shouted, his voice booming across the field. You have brought this upon yourselves. Prepare for battle. As he spoke, Alex felt a surge of anger and fear. We can stop this, he shouted back, hoping to reach them amidst the chaos. We can find a way to talk. We don't have to fight. But the Korrikans only laughed, and the sound echoed ominously. You are too late, human, the leader replied. You chose war the moment you stood against us. With that, the clash began. Laser blasts filled the air, and soldiers charged at each other, fierce and unyielding. Alex fought alongside his men, pushing through the chaos as the battle raged around him. He could feel the weight of his responsibility pressing down on him. In the midst of the fighting, he caught sight of Varric, leading a charge against the Korrikan forces. Alex's heart raced as he moved to join him. We need to fall back. Alex shouted, dodging a blast. We can regroup and find another way. Fall back. Varric shot back, anger flashing in his eyes. We cannot show weakness. But as Alex fought, he began to see the cost of this war. He watched as both sides suffered, lives lost and families torn apart. In that moment, he realized that their true enemy was not each other, but the cycle of fear and hatred that had led them here. Determined to end the conflict, Alex fought his way toward the Korrikan leader, hoping to reach him before more blood was shed. We need to stop this, he yelled, his voice hoarse. We can find peace together. But the battle raged on, and the fate of both worlds hung in the balance. As chaos enveloped them, Alex knew they were at a crossroads. The struggle for peace was far from over, and he would fight until his last breath to bring a better future for all. A new era. The grand hall of the palace was filled with tension as the leaders from both sides took their seats. On one side sat Alex and Lyra, flanked by their council members. On the other side sat the Korrikan leader and his advisors, their expressions serious and cautious. This was a pivotal moment for both races. Alex cleared his throat, feeling the weight of everyone's expectations. Thank you all for coming, he began, his voice steady but firm. We have gathered here today, not just to talk about our past, but to build a better future together. The recent battle has shown us the pain that war brings, and we must find a way to end this cycle of violence. The Korrikan leader nodded, his gaze piercing. You speak of peace, human. But how can we trust you after the bloodshed? Lyra leaned in, her voice calm. Trust takes time, but it can be built through actions. We must commit to working together, sharing our resources, and rebuilding what we have lost. There was a murmur of agreement from the humans, but the Korrikans remained cautious. Alex could sense the tension in the air. "Let us not forget that we are more alike than we are different," he continued. "Both of our peoples want to protect our homes and our families. Let's unite our strengths to face the challenges ahead." After a moment of silence, the Korrikan leader spoke again. "What do you propose?" Alex took a deep breath, recalling the many discussions he had with Lyra and the council. "We propose an alliance, a pact between our two peoples. We will share technology, knowledge, and resources. We can create a council that includes members from both races, allowing us to address our concerns together." The Korrikan leader considered this, his brow furrowing. "And if one side betrays the other, what assurances do we have?" Lyra interjected. "We can establish a set of rules for this alliance. Each side must agree to respect the other, and if any violations occur, we will address them openly. Transparency is key to building trust." The Korrikan leader nodded slowly, appearing deep in thought. Alex could see that the other Korrikan advisors were whispering among themselves, and a flicker of hope ignited within him. Perhaps they were considering the possibility of peace. After what felt like an eternity, the Korrikan leader finally spoke. "Your proposal is intriguing. We are willing to enter discussions about this alliance. But know this, our trust is hard-earned, and any betrayal will be met with swift consequences." Alex nodded, relief washing over him. "That is fair. We will work together to ensure that our alliance is strong and beneficial for both sides." As the meeting progressed, they discussed details and logistics, outlining how they would move forward. Ideas flowed freely, and for the first time, Alex felt a sense of unity in the room. They were no longer enemies. They were partners seeking a common goal. Weeks turned into months, and the alliance began to take shape. Together, humans and Korrikans worked side by side to rebuild their cities and their lives. They shared technology, knowledge, and culture, learning from one another in ways they had never imagined. Children from both races played together, their laughter ringing through the streets as a symbol of hope for the future. As the seasons changed, so did the landscape of Zorith. New buildings rose where the old ones had fallen, and gardens bloomed where battles had once raged. The air was filled with the sounds of cooperation, friendship, and the promise of a brighter tomorrow. One day, as Alex stood atop the palace balcony with Lyra, he looked out over the city, now vibrant and alive. "We did it," he said, a smile breaking across his face. "Yes, we did," Lyra replied, her eyes shining with pride. "But this is only the beginning. We must continue to nurture this bond." Alex nodded, knowing that challenges would still arise, but together they could face anything. They had created a new era, one built on understanding, trust, and the belief that peace was not just possible, but necessary. As the sun set over Zorith, casting a warm glow over the city, Alex felt a sense of fulfillment. They had turned the tide from war to peace, and with Lyra by his side, he knew they were ready to face whatever the future held. The journey had been long and difficult, but they had emerged stronger, united in their shared vision for a better world.